Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Travel Leaders podcast. I'm Gemma Zinyama, your founder of Travel Insights AI, where I'm sharing real stories and honest perspectives from leaders in shaping the future of travel. So today's guest actually brings a slightly different angle and I think a very valuable lens. So I'm joined by Rhys David of Evertrek. So he spent 20 years in senior leadership positions and roles across multiple industries, including building and exiting successful companies, which I am absolutely in awe of. He's now about a year into leading a fast growing adventure travel business. So he's coming into the sector very openly as a businessman rather than a traditional travel person, which I think is really, really exciting. So Rhys, welcome to the podcast. It's really great to have you here.
Thank you, Gemma.
Thanks for joining. So to ease us in, and for anyone listening who doesn't know you yet already, how would you describe your role at Evertrek and what is the business about?
Yeah, so Evertrek is a Welsh headquartered business with offices in England, but a global supply chain. So we, in essence, provide adventure travel for our customers. We've built a loyal customer base since 2017. So if you think of people that want to experience maybe low or high altitude or an adventure or bucket list adventure, Evertrek will take you there and help you fulfill your dreams. But we pride ourselves on being your knowledgeable, friendly experts and your trusted partners, because some of the places where we do offer these experiences aren't like sitting on a beach. You do need to be slightly more knowledgeable, which is why we pride ourselves on that trusted partner element. And in terms of my role, I've been there 12 months, and we are an institutionally backed business, private equity backed business. So we want to delight our customers, but also grow at the same time. So my role really is to have a clear strategy and work very closely with the team to execute it. And nothing gives me greater pleasure than seeing the team execute well, enjoy themselves, thrive, because growth is a byproduct of excellence in my view. So if you work on the basics and nail those, the core things tend to take care of themselves. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
Great. Thanks for that. I also found what I really found interesting when we spoke is that you're very open about actually not coming from a traditional travel background. So can I ask what it was like stepping into the travel industry after 20 plus years in completely different sectors?
Yeah, it makes me feel old actually when you say that. So what was very interesting to me is I'd had a couple of years off before this role, and because I've had a few exits in the past, and I just needed a bit of time out. I was quite busy in those 2 years with investments and chairman roles, and also spending a lot more time with my family and traveling the world myself. But what it really did was allow me to reflect a lot on all the things I've done well, badly, the mistakes I've made. And if you wrap that up in a ball, it was a really good time for me to create an environment for me to make some new mistakes. And it's taken 20 years to acknowledge and show that vulnerability, that making mistakes is really good, because it shows you're having a go, you're in the arena, and that's the only way to grow. You need to have a crack. So I I took my time in induction into the business. The team will say I didn't say much for the first couple of months. I was just listening, learning, of course, engaging and asking questions. But I really took my time to induct myself into the business because I knew it was nuanced. I think a key thing, I've always held the belief in my career that there are so many common approaches and principles within businesses, regardless of sector, regardless B2C, B2B, whatever the model is. 70-80% of running a business is quite similar. So the common approaches, the principles are the same, but the nuance comes in that 30%. So in my onboarding, my induction, it was really interesting for me to settle in, to understand how the business model works and the market works. The dynamics are quite different. But that being said, you could probably draw the business model of most businesses, regardless of sector, quite similarly. The devil's always
Okay.
lurking in the detail, as we know. So yeah, I took my time first couple of months to understand the business, the markets, understand where we were, and choose my approach, not only with the business itself and the investors, but more importantly, the team, because the team needed reshaping and maybe a clearer strategy or some tactics or whatever that may be. And I think Rhys 10 years ago would have rushed in like a bull in a china shop and probably broke a load of things and people, and I would have been scratching my head. Yeah, I think the byproduct of me taking a bit of time out and reflecting has allowed me and the team to be a little bit more patient and flexible in choosing the right approach, which has enabled us to have a very strong year.
That's actually really inspiring. I've tried to become a fan myself of failing forward, you know, and it's just sounds really integral what you're saying about your own personal journey and growth. So I think people will really resonate with that. Feel like we're in the years of authenticity as well. So thanks
Yes.
for that. That really resonates. Would you say what surprised you most in that first year?
Good question. There's a few things. The one thing that was really alien to me, even though I'm aware of it, is the deferred income model. What I mean by that is in a tech or product driven environment where you build once, sell many times, you can sell your product and recognize revenue immediately and you get cash into the business. With travel, someone may book today but not pay for 12 months. So it puts pressure on the running and the cash flow of the business. And also you then may have a spike in cancellations or reschedules because of external events like illnesses, family, whatever. There's numerous aspects to it. So we've worked hard strategically to ensure that the business executes the commercial strategy well by delighting our customers, but ensuring that our product portfolio is well balanced so that we're selling products that generate short-term cash flow as well as long-term cash flow. So that's
Okay.
one huge nuance within travel. And also the main difference for me is that we travel has to work very hard to secure customers. It's a service operated business. And if you think of software businesses where it's all online sales, B2C, you can scale it so not easier because it's still hard. But for
Okay.
travel, it is so much competition. What are our differentiators? How do we know our customers well enough? So you have to fight really hard for every customer because that recurring revenue element, which technology companies and software companies pride itself on, doesn't really exist in travel. So you may have one customer that spends, I don't know, 2,000 with you this year, and you may never see them again. So you're working hard for that customer base. Those two things were the main things for us to get our heads around strategically.
Yeah. As I would say that I actually sit on the customer side and I do need to be wooed, wine, dined and courted to
Exactly.
get me over the line. So yeah, I completely understand what you're saying there. I like that perspective that you've shared. Thanks for that. So, and I think sometimes not being industry raised gives you a clarity that others just simply don't have from sales, marketing, or operational perspective. What do you actually think travel businesses sometimes overcomplicate or under question?
Yeah, I think there's such a common approach between most businesses, whether it be B2C or B2B, from a digital marketing perspective. If you drew the business model of a £1 billion company and a £1 million company, it would look very similar because you typically have a multi-channel approach where a lot of thought and budget and effort has gone into your marketing campaigns to generate leads, and then how are you converting those leads, whether it be through a sales team, through your web journeys, your digital ecosystems. So that's our battlefront. We work very hard on our multi-channel approach to generate as much brand awareness as we can. It's not all about money and nickel and diming. It's all about customer value. So we've worked very hard on our propositions and our value to ensure the customer sees the value in working with Evertrek, which is expertise, knowledge, and trusted partners, friendly experts. But when you think of a B2C model, that's what we are as a business, really. So it's making sure that whether it be PPC, SEO, LinkedIn, PR, or anything like that, it's a consistent message, and we work very hard on. So within travel, what disappoints me with any sector is poor customer service and customer experience. So we work hard on that as a business, and in travel, I routinely see as a customer myself, because my family and I are avid travelers. As you can see the map behind us, we've got pins wherever we want to go and go next. I'm amazed how poor customer service is to this day. I've seen some companies amazing at it. But the question I ask myself and the team ask ourselves is, when was the last time you had such good customer experience and service that you felt compelled to recommend them? So travel, I think the travel industry has a way to go digitally in particular to make that journey from the moment you educate yourself on why this business to the moment you fly and come home, for it to be a world-class experience and seamless. We
Yeah.
work hard on that. We've got a way to go ourselves. But within travel, I see that as a major differentiator and a battleground for us.
Yeah, there's definitely room for improvement. And yeah, even myself, I can see it can be hit and miss. But when done excellently, it really shows, doesn't it? Sometimes I'm almost surprised. I'm like, I can't believe that went so well, which
I
it
know.
shouldn't really be the case in
Yeah,
2025, 2026. So
I agree.
yeah,
It's a shame, really.
yeah.
There's so much capital being poured into businesses all over the world and in the UK, closer to home, and even restaurants and things like that. I'm just disappointed with the level of service that I've experienced the last few years. It feels like costs have gone up and service levels have either flatlined or maybe gone down a bit. So it's a key area for us and within the sector.
Yeah, that's good to hear. No, thanks for that. You also mentioned on our pre-podcast chat, just being conscious of how commercial conversations can actually sound in travel, especially when customers value authenticity and trust, which you have already touched on. But how do you personally balance commercial discipline with protecting brand values and customer trust?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question and a healthy challenge for all businesses, not just Evertrek or within travel. Success can be seen as a byproduct of working on the right strategy or tactics. So what I mean by that is we do have a clear strategy in place within Evertrek, and we work hard on our proposition, work really hard with our global supply chain and suppliers across all continents to make sure those service levels are high. We don't get it right all the time, and also we pride ourselves on our ability to respond to that. But for me, is having a very clear strategy and being disciplined enough on the execution side. Because if you work on the right things, it drives the right outputs. So we have commercial targets, of course we do, and we look for year-on-year growth because everything's going up and we need to run our business. We need cash to pay our teams, to pay our bills like any other business or household. So for us, is staying within our lanes, really, that our strategy is clear, our products that we offer is clear, our itineraries are good, our suppliers are good, our systems and processes are good. I don't like to see us deviate from that and try and do deals on the side, nickel and dime. We spend a lot of time working or assessing the market to see where we sit. We've taken a very product B2C digital view of this business because in many ways that's what we are. And part of that is we at any a moment in time will know where we sit in the broader competitive landscape. So let's say there's five major competitors to us. We'll know where we sit there. We do a lot of work on understanding our proposition and why our customers are loyal to us. We drive a lot of retention. Way over 30% of our customers remain loyal to us and end up going on 5 trips or more, which is huge in this sector. So for us, it's having a clear strategy and sticking to it and having the discipline and awareness to see where you are at a moment in time. And if things need a course correction because numbers are off or customer complaints are high, and then you react accordingly because you always have the right to change your mind. So as a team, we work hard on that strategy and communication. And then we have a balanced approach of working our customers digitally and physically. So our teams are on the phones regularly throughout the day on talking to our customers on the experiences they may encounter in Nepal, in Africa, because as I said at the top of the show, our customers aren't going to sit on a beach. You don't need to prepare yourself to go to Spain to sit on a beach per se, apart from sun cream and dealing with border control. But when you go to Nepal and things like that, there's many more things to be aware of: vaccinations, climate, altitude, preparation, fitness, equipment, hydration. There's a lot more things to contend with. So we try to distill that into our proposition and our service levels.
Wow. Yeah, it seems like there is a lot of duty and care put into everything that you are doing. And I'm sure it reflects in your position in the market and where your business is heading. Like year on year growth and year on year improvement is, nothing short of amazing.
I know, and it's hard. And as a CEO from other sectors or CTO or CPTO, you're driven or you obsess over various metrics. And what struck me is, as I said earlier, it's really hard to win business in our sector. But in a technology or SaaS based environment, it's a different challenge, and teams spend their waking hours working on different sets of problems than we do in travel. It's really hard to win consistent business versus what I've experienced in other sectors, because the land and
Yeah.
expand model is more prevalent in software. You have a customer, they like your product, they stay with you forever, really, and they keep on paying you every month. You have recurring revenue, you have future cash. But in travel, you don't. In many ways, I'll wake up January 2027. I'll have no idea what cash is coming into the business over the next 12 months. But in software, you can predict your cash flows, and that's the nuance of the sectors. And that's why our strategy and tactics vary very massively, and how much effort goes into educating the market and our customers.
Yeah. Thanks for that. So I just wanted to move on a bit to AI systems and maybe a bit of modern leadership, because you're also very open to AI systems and modern business tools. So from your perspective, where do you see the biggest opportunities for travel businesses to work smarter, not just harder?
Yeah, there are so many opportunities. It's actually hard to pick one. So if I use a previous example, if you drew the business model of a travel business, and what I
Okay.
mean by that is, if you had your marketing channels on the left and you had your sales funnel going through the business of how you're nurturing leads and converting them. Underneath that, you'll have your CRM systems, your lead generation systems, your billing systems. AI can disrupt or automate or improve almost every aspect of that business model. So it's not about cutting heads or saving costs, but to scale a business, to keep it profitable, systems and technologies, and not only AI, because AI is very buzzy at the moment. I'm old enough to understand where it's all come from. And I've seen the different generations of technology over 20 years. Given I studied computer science at university, it's fascinating. So whilst it is buzzy, I'd say technology can disrupt or automate big parts of the business model, regardless of your sector, but in particular travel. So that's a key thing. And then the major benefit of technology or AI is automation and integration. So instead of having teams turning handles of understanding your unique customers or your products or where you differentiate, if you think architecturally and strategically around your technology roadmaps with the right skills, either in the business or as an advisory capacity, you can make really good decisions as part of your strategy. I think it's
Okay.
difficult. A lot of businesses think short term. So whilst you need that, you always need a 3 to 5 year view so that you're assessing that strategy every quarter. I think Rhys 10 years ago, or many people in my shoes, would have just looked for those quick wins all the time. But before you know it, you've ended up 20 degrees offline. So I'd urge people to think strategically and almost draw their business out on a map to understand their pain points before applying technology. So that's ripe. And then the data side of things is huge. How do you have good visibility of how your business is performing, how your customers are engaging with your services? Are they happy? Are they unhappy? Are you actually creating an environment or a forum where you can ask for feedback in the first place, let alone react to it? So that's huge. Every business wants to scale. We also need to remind ourselves that in the UK, I'd say roughly 2,000 businesses per month are going out of business. So it's really hard to build and run a successful company. So it's just having that one eye always on scaling your business by maintaining your margins, and
Yeah.
that's where technology can help greatly.
That's incredible. Thanks for that. I'm sure people listening will be writing so many notes there, even myself. Do you think, where do you think there's maybe unnecessary friction?
From a systems level or technology,
Technology.
yeah, it's an interesting one. There's a balance. Life's all about balance, as we know, and also within a business, you can over egg something or undercook something. So if you're starting a business today, you wouldn't set out to build a perfect business or a perfect technology roadmap or a Death Star, as we used to call it in our geek circles. But I've always said that you plan for growth, you don't hope for it. How you architect your business is really important, because if you're going from 10 customers to 100 or 1,000 to 10,000, to scale that gracefully, you do need a certain level of maturity within your business to be able to handle it. Otherwise, you're going to need to employ a lot of people to turn a lot of handles, or you'll simply break. And then the cost to remediate or fix is so high, you'll never quite get there. So knowing where you are on your journey and when to invest and when not is a major awareness thing to have of your business. That's a huge thing where I see people struggle with, no different to myself. And then friction comes from over engineering, I'd say. You can end up being too clever and missing the point of your business. Whereas if you actually put the same level of effort into generating leads or improving sales conversion, you'd end up having a net better result. So that's what I mean by balance. You need to take a balanced view of where your pain points are in line with where you want to be by the end of this quarter, the year, the next 3 years, so that you're moving along your journey with a destination in mind, as opposed to just bringing in the latest tech or the latest innovation that's not part of the bigger picture. So that would be
Yeah,
my
thanks. I also find that, with past ideas and listening and speaking to different entrepreneurs about, people being stuck in their own ways and following their idea without actually listening to what the customer wants, and actually doing that deep dive. So taking yourself out of the fold and
yeah.
looking at it from, an outside perspective and saying, okay, this needs changing, and holding your hands up and actually being able to maybe throw in the towel when something simply isn't working, and not be stubborn.
Totally.
So that, that's another point that I come across when speaking to people about, what's ineffective and what's unnecessary. So yeah, there's a lot of lessons to be learned as you
Honestly,
go along.
projects
You've got
start
to
all
be
the
able to
time.
pivot.
Yeah, you have to be able to pivot, but then some businesses over pivot and continually pivot, and other people's egos are in the way, or whatever that may
That's
be.
it.
It's taken me a while in my career to just have that vulnerability and confidence, because the scars have accumulated, to say, actually, this isn't working. We can either change course direction or just bin it and stop wasting everyone's energy on this that's not working.
Yeah.
There's always a need to have a balanced, mature view, and leave those egos at the door.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. And so I'm moving on to the magic wand question. If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about how travel businesses are built or run today, what would it be and why?
A greater obsession with the standing in the shoes of the customer more, and the byproduct of that would be a far superior, better customer service experience, as opposed to being so densely populated with so many like similarly shaped businesses. So yeah, I would like to see more businesses in general obsess over that customer and put the customer service and experience right at the forefront of the business. I just feel as a consumer that I'm getting mugged off too much in the last few years, and costs are going up. I'm not seeing service levels go with it. So I'd like to see a paradigm shift and go back to basics of, say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when the whole agile movement came around, where people were just obsessing over customers, and generally making great investments to stand in the shoes of the customer to understand what they're seeing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's a really good take on that. So thank you. When you look ahead to the next 12 to say 24 months at Evertrek, what does success look like for you beyond just growth?
Yeah, so we're working hard on our product portfolio. So we're looking forward to launching some new products in the business. So that's domestically and in Europe and further afield. So the UK has a bunch of amazing mountains and treks that our customers are asking us for. So we'll
Okay.
be launching those. We'll be launching no European treks, things like Norway and Iceland, and then further afield. But strategically, it's and life I see like chapters or waves. Our let's say our financial year starts in April. You're working on your new strategy 6 months back, so you always have this movement, go forward plan, so that you're seeing how that growth will be executed and where it's going to come from. If you want 20, 30, 40% year-on-year growth, you have to always have that awareness of where it's coming from, and you need to invest in the business to launch new products and execute that well, so your customers are continually engaged. There may be a couple of acquisitions on the way to bolster our growth and to offer a different range of sort of services or products to our customers. And importantly, just enjoying ourselves. And I work hard on aligning my personal goals with that of my professional goals, so that friction isn't there personally for me. And I personally love going on treks. I'm going to Africa in 2 weeks, and I really enjoy meeting our suppliers, because we do run a global business, and I find it fascinating immersing myself in new cultures and things like that. And that's why so many of our customers enjoy going on these trips with us. So it's pretty straightforward for us, really, is making sure that our digital ecosystems are good, our customer experience and journeys are world class, and we have a set of products that continually engage our audiences and existing customers, and we go from there.
Great. That's a good, that sounds like a great vision you've got ahead, and exciting times for the year. So, just for some key takeaways and support actually for other travel founders or operators listening, especially those that are trying to modernize or professionalize their businesses, what's the one piece of advice you'd share from your experience so far? And is there any practical tips you can give for people?
Yeah, I would always encourage people to have a clear view of where they are today versus where they want to be. By having
Okay.
those two views, you'll then understand the gap and understand how you go from where you currently are to where you want to be. And it's always a series of smaller steps. Stop obsessing over what other people are doing. Just really look internally as to how your business is set up versus where you want to be. There's a bunch of sort of methods of how you can do that. I'm a big fan of the business model canvas. It helps you to assess your business model with your teams and understand how you're going to launch your new products, how you engage your customers, how you price it, how you maintain your margins. But having that simple view of where you currently are versus where you want to be is so important. And that's where you can either bring in external help to help validate that, to help bolster the skill sets needed to make that work. There's no shortage of skills out there to help you on your journeys, but just having that very clear view, is super important, because without that, I would question how you can make solid decisions going forward.
Okay. That's really, really helpful. Thank you so much, Rhys. This has
Pleasure.
been such a refreshing conversation. Your
Nice.
experience is absolutely incredible. Your perspective, especially for someone coming into travel with like fresh eyes, brings a lot of clarity to some industry wide challenges. So, this has been great. I really appreciate it. I'd love to be able to continue a conversation in the near future. But to wrap up, can we ask where people can find out about Evertrek and follow what you're building?
Yes, follow us on evertrek.co.uk or .com. We have a large Facebook community and we are very active on Instagram. So Facebook, Instagram, and our website will be a good start.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. And thank you,
Pleasure.
everybody, for tuning in to the Travel Leaders podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow us, subscribe, and share it with somebody else in the travel industry. Thank you so much. And I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, Rhys.
Thanks, Gemma. Bye-bye now.